The galaxy had fallen silent, and in that silence, humanity trembled. For decades, the Voreth Collective had stretched its shadow across star systems, crushing any world that dared resist. Human colonies, once proud and thriving, now cowered behind crumbling defenses. Entire fleets had vanished in the blink of an alien eye. The war, once fought with hope and courage, now seemed lost. On the frozen world of Callus 9, Commander Alara Jansen stared at the barren horizon. Snow swept across jagged cliffs, and the wind carried the eerie hum of distant machines. Her small crew had worked tirelessly for months to maintain the outpost's communications and keep the lights on. Supplies were scarce, morale scarcer, yet Alara refused to surrender. "We can't just wait to die," she said, pacing the control room. Her boots scraped against the metal floor. "Even if the rest of humanity has lost hope, we can't. We fight. Always." Lieutenant Riko Tanaka, her second-in-command, frowned as he reviewed the latest intelligence feed. "Commander, the Voreth fleet is 3 days away. Once they arrive, nothing we do here will matter. We're already cut off from the colonies. The High Council hasn't responded to our distress calls in weeks." Alara didn't flinch. Her eyes remained fixed on the holographic display showing the Voreth fleet closing in. "Then we make this matter. We make it matter, Riko. Humanity survives because we refuse to accept impossible odds. There is always a way." As if in answer to her words, the outpost sensors picked up an anomaly buried beneath kilometers of ice. A faint signal pulsed, almost like a heartbeat. The system flagged it as unknown. Curiosity sparked in Alara's eyes. "Run a full analysis," she ordered. "Whatever that is, I want to know everything about it before the Voreth arrive." Hours passed. Alara and her team studied the data, translating what they could of the signal. It was ancient, older than any human records, older than any known civilization. Its structure was unlike anything they had ever encountered, coded in a complex pattern of energy pulses that resembled thought more than technology. "This isn't just a message," whispered Dr. Selene Kovac, the outpost's lead scientist. "It's alive, in a way. The structure itself seems aware." Alara leaned over her shoulder. "Who sent it?" "No one knows," Selene admitted. "It's older than the first star charts of humanity. It speaks of the ancients, beings long gone, powerful beyond comprehension. They were the architects of galaxies." "If this is real," she trailed off, her voice trembling with awe. Alara's heart raced. She had heard of the legends, whispered in old archives about the ancient ones. Beings who had shaped stars, whose technology could rewrite matter and energy. But they were myth, or at least that's what most humans believed. "Then this is our chance," Alara said quietly. "If they were real, maybe they still can help us. Maybe they are why we haven't been entirely wiped out yet." The council at the outpost met late that night. Alara presented the data, her voice steady even as tension filled the room. "We have discovered a signal from the Ancient Ones," she began. "It's a chance, perhaps the only chance humanity has to survive this war. I propose we attempt to awaken them. We do not know if they will answer or if they will even care, but if we do nothing, we are finished." Some officers shook their heads. "Commander, this is madness," said Admiral Raller, the senior officer. "We are weeks from being overrun. We have no fleet, no reinforcements, no chance of escape. Pursuing this fantasy could waste the last hours humanity has." Alara met his gaze without fear. "Fantasy is what people call courage when they don't understand it. The Voreth believe us weak. They believe we will die quietly. They underestimate what humans are capable of. I will not let them be right." After long debate, the council reluctantly agreed. A small team was assembled, Alara, Riko, Selene, and a handful of engineers and soldiers. They would descend to the icy depths beneath the outpost, where the signal originated, and attempt to unlock whatever the ancients had left behind. The journey down was treacherous. Ice groaned under their tread, and tunnels twisted in impossible ways. The deeper they went, the stronger the signal became, vibrating through their suits and instruments like a song of the stars. Finally, they reached a massive chamber, hidden for millennia. Towering structures rose from the floor, covered in alien symbols that glowed faintly with energy. In the center lay a spherical device, pulsing rhythmically as if it were breathing. "This is it," Selene whispered. "The gateway." Alara stepped forward. "Activate it. Whatever it takes." The team worked tirelessly, decoding symbols, aligning energy conduits, and overcoming security systems designed by a civilization older than time itself. Sweat dripped from their helmets, hands shook, but no one complained. Humanity's spirit was alive in that chamber, fighting against impossible odds. Hours stretched into days. Then, just as the Voreth fleet appeared in the orbit above Callus 9, the gateway hummed with light and the chamber trembled. Energy arcs danced across the walls, illuminating human faces with awe and fear. Alara's voice rang out. "We did it. Whatever happens next, humanity took the first step. We did not bow. We did not surrender." Rico peered at the viewport. The Voreth fleet loomed like a storm of darkness, their warships bristling with weapons. "Commander, they're here." Alara's jaw tightened. "Then let them come. We have a secret they cannot see. We have hope they cannot measure." The first pulse of the gateway rippled outward, visible even from orbit. The Voreth halted their advance, sensing something unfamiliar, something terrifying. This is bigger than anything we imagined," Selene murmured. I think they are listening." Alara placed a hand on the console. "Then let them see humanity. Let them see what we are." The outpost shuddered as the gateway reached its full power. Light spilled across the icy plains, and for a moment the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. And then in that silent, frozen world, humanity's last gamble began. The war was lost until they called upon the ancients. Above them, the Voreth prepared to strike. Below them, the ancient gateway pulsed with a life that was neither human nor alien, waiting to decide the fate of the galaxy. Alara looked at her team, eyes burning with resolve. "No matter what comes next, we fight. We survive. Humanity never surrenders." The chamber shook again, louder this time, and a voice, deep, resonant, almost like the echo of a star, filled the room. It spoke not in words but in understanding, and yet every human in that chamber felt its meaning. "Who dares awaken us?" Alara straightened, her voice steady. "We are humans, we dare." For the first time in months, the team felt a spark of hope. Against impossible odds, against a relentless enemy, humanity still had one weapon the Voreth could never predict: courage. And with that courage, the galaxy would never be the same again. The icy winds of Callus 9 battered the outpost, but inside the ancient chamber, a new force stirred. The gateway pulsed with energy, lighting the faces of the humans with a glow that seemed almost alive. Alara Jansen felt her heart race, knowing that what came next could save humanity or end it entirely. Dr. Selene Kavak adjusted the energy conduits again. "The patterns are stabilizing," she said. "Whatever is on the other side, it's aware of us. It's thinking." Riko Tanaka, ever practical, frowned. "Thinking or not, we have the Voreth above our heads. If this thing doesn't act fast, none of us will live to see it." Alara's gaze stayed on the gateway. "They will act fast enough. They just need to know we are worthy." Outside, the Voreth fleet loomed like a storm of metal and fire. Their massive warships blotted out stars, bristling with weapons capable of annihilating the outpost in minutes. But they paused at the energy pulse of the gateway, sensing something ancient and powerful. Sensors registered unknown energy signatures that defied all Voreth technology. Back inside, the gateway began to shimmer, projecting shapes and forms that no human mind could fully comprehend. The chamber filled with a low hum, resonating through bone and machine alike. Then, without warning, the floor vibrated violently and the air grew thick with energy. "What's happening?" shouted one of the engineers, gripping the console for support. "They're responding," Selene whispered, all breaking through fear. "They're testing us." A shape emerged from the gateway, a being of immense scale and complexity, its form shifting between solid and energy as if it were both alive and a machine. Its eyes, or what resembled eyes, glowed like miniature stars. It observed the humans, tilting its head in curiosity. Alara stepped forward, her voice firm. "We are humans. Our species is fighting for survival. We need your help." The being emitted a resonant sound that shook the chamber. Though it spoke no words, the message was clear. It was measuring their intentions. It saw fear, yes, but also determination, courage, and ingenuity. Rico exchanged a glance with Alara. "Commander, I think it understands us." The energy in the chamber pulsed faster. More shapes began to emerge, gigantic biomechanical forms with limbs that shimmered and shifted, moving with grace that no human could replicate. The ancients, as the legends called them, were awakening. The Voreth, sensing the sudden surge of energy, launched the first wave of their assault. Massive beams of destructive energy struck the planet's surface, tearing through ice and rock. Explosions rattled the outpost and alarms blared. Alara shouted orders. "Shield the gateway. Protect the scientists. We don't let the Voreth destroy this before it's complete." Human soldiers moved with practiced precision, placing energy barriers and fire suppression units. But the attacks were relentless. Voreth warships circled in deadly patterns, firing at every weak point they could find. Then the ancients acted. A tendril of energy shot out from the nearest one, intercepting a Voreth beam midair. It tore the beam apart not with force but with some kind of manipulation of energy that humans could barely understand. The soldiers gasped in awe. "They're protecting us," Selene whispered. "They're helping." Alara didn't hesitate. "We fight alongside them. We show them we are worthy." The humans launched a counterattack. Using improvised weapons and coordinated maneuvers, they struck at Voreth landing crafts and drones, distracting them while the ancients dismantled the bigger ships with precision. Human pilots weaved through the battlefield with daring skill, striking at weak points no one else could see. The Voreth fleet commander, a towering alien named Varkin, was furious. "What is this? How can such fragile creatures fight alongside beings that make stars?" he roared. "Destroy them all." But even Varkin could not predict human ingenuity. While the ancients held the line, Alara and Rico led a team to sabotage the Voreth energy relays on the planet's surface. Using human adaptability and courage, they moved through the bombardment, dodging debris and enemy patrols. Where machines and brute strength failed, humans thrived, thinking fast, improvising, surviving. Inside the chamber, Selene observed the ancients' responses. "They're learning from us," she said. "They're not just helping, they're understanding how we think. They see our creativity, our courage, our stubbornness. That's why they chose to awaken." Alara's voice was firm. "Then we show them more. We fight as humans, but we fight together." Outside, the battlefield shifted. The ancients, towering over the Voreth ships, manipulated energy in ways that defied physics. Massive warships disintegrated into beams of pure light. The Voreth tried to counterattack, but every move they made was anticipated by the ancients, except where human unpredictability came into play. A squadron of human fighters streaked through the chaos, striking at Voreth command vessels with daring maneuvers. The Voreth had never seen anything like it. Their disciplined formations were useless against the combination of human creativity and ancient power. Varkin, enraged, ordered his flagship to engage the chamber directly. Massive beams tore toward Callus 9's surface. Alara shouted, "Ancients, protect the gateway." Energy arcs danced across the sky as the ancients responded. One extended a massive limb, redirecting the beams safely into orbit where they harmlessly exploded. Another created a shield of shimmering light, holding back a barrage of Voreth missiles. In the chamber, Alara felt the energy of the ancients hum through her. It was overwhelming, yet strangely comforting. The beings were immense, incomprehensible, but they trusted humans. And humans in turn trusted them. Rico pointed to a console. "Commander, the Voreth flagship is targeting the gateway. If they destroy it, everything we've done is lost." Alara's jaw tightened. "Then we stop them. Rico, take the fighters and engage. I'll coordinate with the ancients." The battle outside became a blur of light and motion. Human pilots darted through Voreth lines, dodging beams and missiles, striking with precision. The ancients manipulated reality around the ships, bending energy and space itself. Every time the Voreth thought they had the advantage, humans found a way to turn it around. Selene, monitoring the gateway, gasped, "Commander, I think they're ready to leave. The ancients, they're about to go into the Voreth fleet." Alara nodded. "Then we give them the opening. All units focus fire. Break their formations." The Voreth flagship, massive and deadly, loomed above the battlefield. It fired a series of devastating blasts, threatening to crush both humans and ancients alike. But in a display of unimaginable power, the ancients extended from the gateway, towering over the Voreth vessels. Energy flowed from them in waves, tearing through ships, disabling weapons and reshaping space around the battlefield. Humans exploited the chaos. Boarding parties struck at the crippled Voreth ships, sabotage teams disabled energy relays, and fighters launched attacks on command vessels. Every act of human courage and cleverness was amplified by the presence of the ancients. Varkin, watching his empire crumble, screamed orders in desperation. "You insignificant humans, how can you challenge us?" Alara, voice calm but fierce, replied, "Because we never give up. We never surrender. We are human, and we fight to survive." The ancients seemed to acknowledge her words. Energy pulsed brighter, more powerful, as if agreeing. And with that, they surged forward, moving into the Voreth fleet. Ships disintegrated, energy fields warped, and the galaxy itself seemed to tremble at their power. For the first time, humans saw the impossible happen. The Voreth, the seemingly invincible empire, was being broken not by might alone, but by a combination of human determination and ancient power. As the battle reached its climax, Alara watched the gateway. The ancients had begun their full departure, moving from the outpost into the war above. The humans had proven themselves, and the ancients had recognized their worth. Humanity was no longer alone, but the war was not yet over. The Voreth still remained, fierce and relentless, though now shaken by the unexpected alliance of humans and ancients. Alara knew the coming battles would be difficult, but she also knew this. Humanity had called upon forces older than the stars, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. And in that moment, amid explosions, energy surges, and the roar of human courage, a new chapter began. The ancients were awake. The humans were alive. And the war, once lost, now had a chance. Alara turned to her team, eyes burning with resolve. "We've done the impossible once. Now we keep fighting for humanity, for the galaxy, and for hope." Above them, the Voreth regrouped, wary but still dangerous. But humanity had a secret weapon they could not predict: their courage, their ingenuity, and the ancients who now stood beside them. The war was far from over, but humanity had shown the galaxy that even against the impossible, they would never surrender. The battlefield stretched across the void of space, a chaotic expanse of fire, debris, and energy. Voreth warships, once untouchable, now scattered like frightened insects under the relentless power of the Ancient Ones. Humanity's fleet, small but determined, darted between colossal enemies and shimmering energy waves, striking where the Voreth least expected. Commander Alara Jansen gripped the controls of the flagship Defiant Heart, her eyes scanning the war-ravaged expanse. Beside her, Lieutenant Rico Tanaka coordinated the fighters, their sleek ships weaving through Voreth fire like shadows dancing in a storm. "This is it, Rico," Alara said, her voice calm but fierce. "We push them now. No hesitation. We fight until the galaxy knows humans cannot be defeated." Rico nodded. "Understood, Commander. All squadrons ready for attack." The Ancients, massive and awe-inspiring, moved through the battlefield with fluid precision. One extended tendrils of energy that crushed entire Voreth dreadnoughts, while another reshaped space itself, diverting volleys of plasma away from human ships. Their power was incomprehensible, yet their coordination with humans was uncanny, almost intuitive. Dr. Selene Kavak monitored the Ancients' energy output from the command deck. "Commander, they're responding to our tactics, adjusting in real time. It's like they're learning how we think. This synergy, it's unlike anything recorded in galactic history." Alara's eyes narrowed. "Good, let them learn. Let them see what humans are capable of." Above the battlefield, Voreth leadership grew frantic. Varkin, their towering commander, roared orders to his scattered forces. "Crush them. Destroy every human ship. We will not be humiliated." But the Voreth had underestimated humanity in every way. While their disciplined formations relied on brute force and overwhelming firepower, humans fought with creativity, intuition, and unpredictability. Boarding parties infiltrated crippled warships, sabotage teams disabled energy cores, and fighter squadrons executed maneuvers that machines could not anticipate. Every human act of courage amplified the Ancients' devastating power. Alara spotted the Voreth command flagship, a monstrous vessel bristling with weapons. "There's the heart of their fleet," she said. "Rico, take the fighters and engage. I'll coordinate with the Ancients. We end this now." Rico's squadron surged forward, weaving through a barrage of energy beams. Human ingenuity shone as pilots used the debris from destroyed ships as cover, darting in unexpected patterns that confused the Voreth targeting systems. The Voreth flagship fired relentlessly, but the Ancients intervened, warping energy around the fighters, shielding them from destruction. Alara's heart raced. "Hold formation. Keep striking. We hit them at their weak points." The battlefield erupted in light and motion. Energy arcs from the Ancients tore through Voreth dreadnoughts. Human boarding parties infiltrated command vessels, planting charges and sabotaging systems. Fighters executed daring strikes, weaving between massive ships like threads through a loom. Varkin screamed as another dreadnought exploded under a combined attack. "Impossible! How can these fragile beings challenge us?" Alara's voice carried through the comms, calm and resolute. "Because we are human. We fight with courage, intelligence, and heart. We never surrender." The Ancients surged forward, reshaping the battlefield itself. Ships disintegrated before reaching their targets. Voreth energy beams bent harmlessly into space, and entire fleets were scattered by waves of unimaginable power. Yet amidst all this, humans continued to act, improvising, adapting, and striking where the Voreth least expected. A massive Voreth ship, one of the largest in the fleet, attempted to escape, hoping to regroup and counterattack. Alara saw it and gave the order: "Intercept." No one leaves alive. Fighter squadrons, guided by human cunning and ancient power, surrounded the vessel. Boarding parties penetrated its defenses, and explosives planted in critical energy cores detonated. The ship erupted in a brilliant explosion, illuminating the battlefield like a second sun. Selene watched in awe. "Commander, the Ancients, they're beginning to recognize humanity as more than allies. They see us as worthy, equal partners in this fight." Alara smiled grimly. "Then we show them even more." The Voreth flagship, now cornered, unleashed its final weapon, a massive energy cannon designed to obliterate entire star systems. Its beams sliced through space, aiming directly at the outpost and the gateway. Alara knew that if it fired, everything would be lost. "Ancients now," she commanded. A wave of energy surged from the Ancients, meeting the Voreth beam in a clash of unimaginable force. Space itself seemed to bend, and for a moment the universe held its breath. The beam faltered, broke apart, and dissipated harmlessly. Human pilots seized the moment, striking the Vorath flagship from multiple angles. Boarding teams infiltrated the ship's core. Alara directed the ancients to create temporary energy corridors, allowing humans to reach critical points without being vaporized. Inside the flagship, chaos erupted. Vorath soldiers scrambled to defend their command center, but human ingenuity proved unstoppable. Engineers disarmed weapon systems, soldiers secured the bridge, and finally Alara herself boarded via the energy corridor, entering the heart of the enemy flagship. Varkin, towering and furious, faced her. "You, humans, how?" Alara's eyes burned with determination. "Because we never give up. Because we fight with courage, intelligence, and unity. Because we are human." With coordinated strikes, explosives, and ancient energy support, the flagship's core destabilized. Varkin roared as the ship began to crumble from within. Alara and her team narrowly escaped through the energy corridor just before the vessel exploded, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The remaining Vorath forces, witnessing the destruction of their flagship and the relentless power of humans and ancients combined, faltered. Fear spread among their ranks, breaking formations that had been unbreakable for centuries. Alara looked at the battlefield from her ship. Entire fleets lay in ruin, debris floating in space like shattered dreams. The ancients towered above the remnants, silent and imposing, their energy now calm but vigilant. Humanity had survived. Humanity had triumphed. Rico approached her. "Commander, we did it." "The Vorath, they're retreating." Alara nodded, eyes fixed on the horizon. "Yes, but this is just the beginning. We've won this battle, but the galaxy is vast. There will always be threats, but now they know. They all know that humanity is not weak. Humanity is unstoppable when united." Selene added, voice full of wonder, "And the ancients, they recognized us. They saw our courage, our adaptability, our refusal to surrender. That alone changes everything." Alara placed a hand on the console. "Then let this be a warning to the galaxy. Humans may be small in number, but our spirit, our will cannot be defeated. And if anyone dares underestimate us again, they will learn what it means to face humanity and the power we can call upon." The ancients, towering and magnificent, began to retreat through the gateway. Their presence would linger, their knowledge would guide humanity, but they left the galaxy to humans to claim. For the first time, humanity was not just surviving. They were respected, feared, and admired across the stars. As the defiant heart glided among the wreckage of battle, Alara looked toward the stars, her heart steady. The war had been lost once, but now humanity had called upon forces older than time itself and emerged victorious. The galaxy would never forget the day humans, against all odds, refused to surrender. And in that moment, Alara knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had awakened the ancients, survived the impossible, and proven a truth that echoed across the void. Courage, ingenuity, and unity were powers that no enemy, no matter how ancient or strong, could overcome. Humanity was no longer a species to fear. They were a species to respect, to watch, and to never, ever underestimate. The stars shone brighter that night, as if acknowledging the triumph of the humans who had called upon the ancients and stood undefeated. Alara whispered quietly, almost to herself, "The galaxy will remember, and humanity will never stop fighting." In the silence of space, broken only by the hum of surviving ships and the distant light of the ancients, a new era had begun. Humanity's legend had grown, and for the first time in centuries, hope burned brighter than fear. The war had been lost, until humanity chose to fight, and in doing so, called upon the ancients to turn the tide. Humanity had triumphed.